sleep at home. And I was, about 2 hours ago, I kind of pulled up my calendar to figure out exactly where the address is. And believe it or not, my parents, you can literally see their house right there. So this was perfect. It was literally took me like a minute and a half to get here. So I love being here. But I grew up in a family, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about just my family story, because often it helps people think about their story, my family story, and my personal journey, which I've written about in a book called Living with Intent, My Somewhat Messy Journey to Purpose, Peace, and Joy. And messy is an important part of that subtitle. So I grew up in Boston. My parents came here when they were about 23, 22 years old for my father to do his residency. At that time, there was a shortage of doctors in the 70s in the US. And so my dad had been recruited to come and complete his residency. My parents had just got married. They arrived here. My mom got pregnant right away, and actually my parents couldn't afford to have me in this country because they didn't have health insurance. So it was cheaper for my mother to fly back to India, have me, and have her parents buy a ticket to come back. And so my early childhood memories are actually not what you may expect. My dad worked 24/7. He was a really stressed out, miserable person. He smoked incessantly. He drank whenever, the very few days that he could come home. He'd basically drink to go to sleep. And my parents fought all the time. So my brother and I, our early memories of childhood are actually kind of not wanting my dad around, because whenever he was around, it was just kind of stressful in the house. My mom wasn't happy. And something changed when I was about 9 years old. So I remember very clearly a day when my father came home and something was different. And what had happened that day is my dad had probably been going through his own midlife crisis as a doctor. He felt that he was pushing medicine, he was stressed out himself, he wasn't connecting to patients. And so he had been walking in Cambridge, Mass, and went into a meditation center. And my dad had one of those unique experiences where his first meditation, for the first time in his life, he felt peaceful. He felt connected to himself. He had a sense of kind of knowing that there was something more in his life than just kind of the rat race that he was in. So he came home and he took my mother right away to go and learn meditation. So my family actually, despite growing up in India, was not spiritual at all. My grandfather was actually the first Western trained doctor in India. And so my family was very Western focused. So for my father, this experience of meditation was quite dramatic. My mom learned, and my mom's a very normal, grounded, relaxed person. So for her, meditation just felt really comfortable. The next day, my dad made his brother and their entire family learn. The day after that, my mom's sister, and they had to learn. Next, the entire Indian community in Boston had to learn. And so my dad had this energy right away that was to recruit everyone. But what happened for us as a family is there was a dramatic change and a dramatic difference, because we remember just a stressed out, miserable household where my parents fought, to suddenly at 9 and 6, my brother and I being like, wow, my dad's around more, my mom's happier, they're communicating more. Suddenly my dad would look at us and be like, oh, so what grade are you in? Like, he kind of pay attention. And so for us as a family, there was a dramatic shift. And my brother and I really became the guinea pigs for all of my father's experiments. Everything you can imagine. He'd make us do memory tricks and perform in front of people. We played on the Ouija board. You name it, we did it. He tried to hypnotize me for my addiction to chocolate, which was a complete failure because I'm still completely addicted to chocolate. And, we had fun. But one of the things that he taught us early on was the power of intention and the concept of intention. And he would make us, after our meditations, say a phrase, and it goes like this. It says, I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience and set the goals I will achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. And then my dad would ask my brother and I, what do you ask for? So as kids in Boston, obviously, we'd ask for tickets to the Celtics, a trip to Hawaii, a new Atari game. There were so many things to ask for. And he would listen patiently, and then he would say, okay, we'll work on all that, but what about asking for love, connection, inspiration, a sense of purpose? And so we were taught on a daily basis to ask for the qualities in our life that would make us happier, healthier, more connected, and of purpose. And when I talk about intents really come from our soul. They come from that place where we ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want? How can I serve? They're very different from goals. We all live in a very goal-oriented society. Goals come from the mind. Intents really come from the soul. And so I grew up in this environment. We were lucky we had exposure to some really interesting people. And it was a great childhood, but honestly, my brother and I really didn't care what my dad did. We kind of did our own journey. I went to college in the East Coast, and after I graduated from college, I thought, okay, I want to get a cool job. And the coolest job at the time, frankly, was working for MTV. So MTV was just launching internationally. I loved music. I'd grown up knowing Michael Jackson and all these other people, and I'd seen the power that music had to kind of affect people around the world. So I actually kind of set the very clear goal to go and work for MTV and join them in New York. And I was about 22, 23 years old, just after college. And after about a month with MTV in New York, I was an assistant to the VP of International Marketing. MTV was just starting to launch internationally. And so I convinced them at 23